Hello, this is Crystal Racing here, talking about the occasions in F1 history where a driver managed to win the World Championship despite failing to win a single race in the first 4 races of the year. First up is 1989, with Alain Prost beating McLaren teammate Ayrton Senna to the World Championship that year. Now, it has to be noted, Prost only took 4 wins to Senna's 6 victories, and only once did Prost manage to finish ahead of Senna when they both finished, and that was at the season opening Brazilian Grand Prix, where Ayrton Senna was struggling with car issues. However, Alain Prost's greater consistency, plus the fact that he had only 1 retirement compared to at least 5 retirements before the Japanese Grand Prix, gave Prost a huge advantage in points scored, plus of course the controversial collision that Prost and Senna were involved in, which then saw Senna disqualified after Prost parked up to retire his car, handed the World Championship to Alain Prost despite McLaren attempting to appeal on the behalf of Ayrton Senna, as of course Alain Prost was leaving the team to go to Ferrari the next year. Next up, it's 1987, where 2 years previously, Nelson Piquet also beat his teammate to the championship, Nigel Mansell, at Williams. Now, once again, just like Prost 2 years later, Piquet had a far better reliability record, having only taken 2 non-point scores before Japan, whilst Nigel Mansell suffered 5 non-point scores. And of course, you have to remember, Nelson Piquet was not able to start the San Marino Grand Prix because he had a practice crash, which saw him concussed after a huge high-speed accident at Tamburello. Throughout this season, though, despite the fact Piquet only took 3 wins throughout the year, taking his first win of the season at round 8 in Germany, Piquet took 7 second place finishes and a third place finish, taking in total 11 podiums throughout the year, whilst Nigel Mansell would only take 1 third place finish along with his 6 wins, meaning that Mansell was unable to eke out any sort of points advantage, despite the fact that Mansell took in total 7 pole positions during the season, whilst Piquet only took 4 pole positions in comparison. And of course, thanks to Nigel Mansell's huge practice accident at Japan, which ruled him out for the final 2 races, Piquet was awarded a championship, despite the fact that he himself would fail to score a single point at Japan or Australia. Next up, it is 1982, where Keke Rosberg won the championship in tumultuous circumstances, and he is to date the last driver to be able to win the World Championship on a different team to the guy who would end up finishing runner-up, or indeed, of course, any other championship competitors. Didier Pironi had looked as if he was going to win the World Drivers' Championship for Ferrari, until of course his horrendous crash at Hockenheim in the German Grand Prix practice session, where he brutally broke both of his legs and never raced in F1 again, which left Keke Rosberg to fight John Watson for an outside chance of winning a title, which of course both would eventually chip away at Pironi's lead and overtake him, and Rosberg would take until round 14 to take his first win of the season and his first career victory at the so-called Swiss Grand Prix, which was held in Dijon in France. As it was, Alain Prost had been slowing down with gearbox issues with a couple of laps ago, but just as they were about to wave the checkered flag, someone from the Williams team managed to stop them from waving the checkered flag, which gave Keke Rosberg a chance to overtake Alain Prost on the final lap. And of course, come Caesar's Palace in the season finale, Keke Rosberg finished 5th, whilst John Watson finished 2nd. and Keke Rosberg would go on to win his only ever World Championship in what was a horrendous season, which also saw Jules Villeneuve killed and Riccardo Paletti killed at the Canadian Grand Prix. Next up, it is 1979, where Jody Scheckter won the World Championship despite taking his first win of the year at round 6 at the Belgian Grand Prix. In the first two races at Argentina and Brazil, Ligier had the fastest car with their drivers Jacques Lafitte taking his two wins in the first two races of the season, whilst of course Patrick Depailler finished 4th and 2nd behind him in those two races. However, a litany of retirements would affect both Lafitte's and Depailler's seasons, and of course a hang gliding accident would see Depailler injured for the rest of the season, whilst the development of the Ligier would slow down for the rest of the season, would struggle on, and Lafitte would only pick up 4 more podium finishes afterwards. That left Gilles Villeneuve to then win at South Africa and the United States West Grand Prix. However, inconsistency would see Gilles Villeneuve unable to sustain a proper championship challenge throughout the year, whilst Scheckter's consistency finishing 4th, 5th and 6th regularly would eventually allow him to grab the World Championship victory at the Italian Grand Prix with 2 races to go, thanks to team orders. And however, of course, he would eventually retire a year later as Ferrari would lose their competitiveness, and Scheckter's fears of poor safety would be eventually realised. Next up, it's 1975 as Niki Lauda took his first win of the season at the Monaco Grand Prix in the 5th round of the season, and from that point onwards, Niki Lauda would go on an amazing run of form where he would have the championship wrapped up by the penultimate round at the Italian Grand Prix. Emerson Fittipaldi, the reigning world champion, had a strong start to the season, winning at Argentina and then finishing 2nd at his home Brazilian Grand Prix. However, as the season went on, his McLaren lost its competitiveness and it would become a regular sight for him to finish outside the points, whilst Lauda would go on to win four races in 5 during the mid-season period, and Lauda took a total of 9 pole positions during the 16 race year. It was a season where Niki Lauda came of age and became the sport's second youngest champion for Ferrari, and won the Scuderia's first world championship in 11 seasons. Emerson Fittipaldi would then go and leave McLaren to join his family team, which of course would turn out to be a huge mistake. Next up, it's 1964, where John Surtees won the World Championship despite having taken his first race win of the season at round 6 in what was a 10-race calendar. John Surtees relied on sheer consistency to ensure that he pinched the World Championship by just 1 point ahead of Graham Hill, who had taken the season opener at Monaco, but then would only win once more at the penultimate round at America at Watkins Glen, whilst the other title rival, Jim Clark, would win 3 races in total during that year, but however he suffered a total of 4 retirements and a 7th place finish at the American Grand Prix, which saw Clark pretty much fall within an outside contention of winning the championship at the final round in Mexico, where car troubles for Clark would see him finish 5th, whilst Surtees would finish 2nd, whilst Graham Hill finished down the 11th, and that was enough to give Surtees his only World Championship career victory, and made him the first man to become a world champion in motorcycle racing and Formula 1. And last but not least, we go straight back to 1958, where Britain's first ever world champion, Mike Hawthorne, would take until round 6 to take his first win of the season at the French Grand Prix in what was 11 race calendar, as it was, he would actually that would be his only victory of the season, having taken 5 second places drawing the season, whilst countryman Sterling Moss took 4 wins during the year. However, Sterling Moss would suffer 5 retirements to Mike Hawthorne's 2 retirements, as Ferrari demonstrated higher reliability than Sterling Moss's Vanwall. Such was the pace of Vanwall that year, was that they took the first ever constructors title. However, Stuart Lewis Evans' crash at the season-ending Moroccan Grand Prix would see the team depart from Grand Prix racing despite becoming its first ever Constructors' Championship, and Sterling Moss would never go on to become a world champion. So, for those of you who think Ferrari might not have a chance, history does tell us that there is a chance. It can be done. Winning a race from outside the first 4 races should not stop you from ever becoming a world champion. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to Crystal Racing, and I'll see you again next time.